Yeah, man. And it's me again. I am back once again. This is the Back of the Class show, and I'm your host, and Debbie the creator. And yeah, I think I want to apologize if like my energy is weird. I'm just like very, I don't know. I think I'm sad today. Uh, but like that's besides the point. Never mind. So yeah, so we're back again for another episode of the Back of the Class show, and like always, I am your host. I'm that nigga. I'm him, Himothy, if you may. I'm Demi the creator, and yeah, before we get into the things, you know what you need to do. Why haven't you done it? You gotta get on your Zoom. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, shouldn't they? They should, yeah. Yeah. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you do listen to your podcast, or like this podcast even. Just subscribe to us and interact with us. Just do something. Do something. And after you do that, make sure to follow the socials at BackOT Class Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and follow me personally at Demi_the creator on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Now, with that being said, I went to art gallery this week. An art exhibition, like not much of a gallery, but like more of an exhibition. And it was a lot of obviously visual art, but it wasn't necessarily paintings. There were a lot of pictures, and there was short movies and music videos that were played at this exhibition. And the theme was like the similarities between The Hague and Amsterdam. But like, yeah, that's not what I want to talk about. It was very fire, by the way. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing. And like one of someone that I know had a short movie playing at this exhibition, which is also why Loki went to like show some support, and actually recorded an episode with her as well. But like I think that's gonna come out quite a lot later because it was a very long episode, and it's gonna take a while for me to edit, I think. So yeah, it's gonna drop once I'm done. So yes, I went to a art gallery and it was really fun. I had a really good time. But like what I want to talk about is art in general, because like I also do paint. Well, I don't have a painting with me today, but like I also do paint, and I have this podcast as well, and I draw and I write poems. I write like one shot chapters of novels and shit. So it's like I do quite a lot of creative things, and I know, oh, but aren't you an engineer? Yeah, yeah. We don't talk about that. We don't. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like yeah, I do quite a bit of art. But what I want to talk about today is it's not just art in general, but it's like, is art inherently political? Like, is art inherently something that questions the landscape in which it is created? Because I was having a conversation with someone like months ago, not even recently, months ago. Uh, I wonder how she's doing. But anyways, I was having a conversation with someone months ago, and like we were talking about what is good art and what is bad art. And to me personally, I don't think art can never be bad. I feel like art is always good because art is always accomplishing what it needs to accomplish. I feel like the only reason why we have a classification of good and bad art is simply because we look at art from a lens of capitalism. We look at art from a lens of capitalism and consumerism, and I feel like because of that we taint the idea of what is art, because there's a lot of art that some people consider bad, but like that art is very expensive to purchase, or like to even rent, or to even get access to in whatsoever way. And there's a lot of good art that is like practically for free. So it's like, then how can we classify good art if good art isn't inherently expensive, but yet we look at art from a view, from a lens of capitalism. And that's because we've gotten to a point where art, or like where the value of art is dictated by the views, or like by the perspectives of those who are rich. So like the one percenters, millionaires, billionaires. We've gotten to a point where the value of art is viewed through the lenses of the rich and the wealthy and the lucky, really, the fortunate. And I feel like that's not what art is supposed to be. Because regardless of who makes the art is good. Regardless of the experience of the person who makes the art is good. Because art doesn't just communicate a message, it communicates a point in time. Because the person creating this art is creating this art at a point in time of their life, and not just of their life. They're creating the art as a point in time in like the whole universe. It's like it has to be reflected. You need to understand, because when paint, like for me, for instance, when I paint, I go into the painting session with a rough idea of what I want to represent, or like what I want to put on the canvas. But the time at which I start the piece is very much different from the time at which I end the piece. Because hours have passed by, I'm a different person by the end of it. And midway, I change, I transform. And so it makes sense that my art has to transform as well. And so that's why a lot of my art pieces are quite chaotic. I feel like the most concise, or like the most clearly visual, like clearly viewed, or whatever, like the clearest art piece that I have is actually my very first art piece, because I very much started pretty much being like hyper focused on detail and having this shit done perfectly. But then the more I started to paint, the more I realized that wait, my obsession with making this perfect, with making this good, isn't because I think I'm going to create something bad or something that makes me unhappy. Because regardless of the piece, I will find happiness in the piece, because otherwise I wouldn't finish the piece unless I am happy with the piece. My fear was that I would create bad art, not to myself, but to everyone else around me. And that's when I realized, but wait, I do not create art for people around me. I create art to express myself, to put a message on canvas, to put an emotion on canvas, to put me on the canvas. Because every art piece is different in its own way, obviously. Even if I paint a straight line twice, those two lines are not exactly the same, because those two lines represent a different version of me. And so I personally don't think art can ever be bad. Art is inherently good, because art is inherently created by someone who's trying to make something. And as long as that something has been made, the person who made it is happy with it. Because then, if the person isn't happy with what they've created, then that art piece isn't complete. And even in the fact that the art piece is incomplete, the art piece isn't bad, the art piece is just in progress. Because there's been times where I'm making something and I've had to like completely cover up everything that I was working on, and like just paint a new background color and just do something completely different. Because as the process was going, like honestly, this was actually like I had spent about like 3 hours on this piece. And after the 3 hour mark, like not exactly 3 hours, but like after like a certain point in time, something clicked, and I'm like, you know what? This isn't the message for this canvas. Maybe it's a message for a different canvas, but this isn't the message for this canvas. And I switched it up, and I painted the canvas completely blue. I slapped it up, and I just made something completely different. And that's surprisingly one of my favorite art pieces that I've made, because it's such a chaotic piece. And it's also very interesting, because like I was very nervous doing this. Like I was very nervous slapping up the canvas with blue and just painting some random random lines, actually, random shit on there, and some random symbols and some random stuff from like random anime and random shit. I was very nervous that this piece wouldn't be received properly by people, because I was also very much still early on in my art making career, or like art making days. Because before this piece, every other piece that I've made was so clear and so quote unquote perfect. Like the lines were so meticulously made, and the visuals, the color scheme was so meticulously picked. There was a lot of detail that went into it. And this is not to say that this art piece, this other chaotic one, doesn't have its details, because the details were also meticulously picked, but the details were picked in a chaotic manner. And I think that's what I love the most about that. And the thing is, every time I've shown my art to people, and like we're going through like my quote unquote catalog, and it comes to this piece, people are like, oh, this is a very interesting piece. And I love that, because I find that to be one of my most like interesting pieces as well, because it's like the interpretation of this piece is very much up in the air. Like, what do you think I was going through? Do you think I was sad? Do you think I was depressed? Do you think I was angry? Do you think I was happy? What do you think about this piece? How does it make you feel? Because I know how I felt when I was making this piece. Because when I was making this piece, I was all over the place. I was all over the place. I think I was actually, yeah, I think I'd actually just like, I was either just out of like a situationship with someone, or like a relationship actually, because she was my girlfriend, to be fair. I was either I'd either just broken up with someone, or this was like the period of time where I was making peace with the fact that homegirl was low-key cheating on me. But like, that's another story for another day. Uh, but it was such an interesting period of time, because this art piece has so much chaos, and I feel like, and for me personally, I don't know how people interpret this piece, but the chaos of this art piece for me was on a vibe of like, I am going through a lot at this moment. Like, homegirl is not, yeah, she's acting very sauce, or maybe we just ended. So I had my sadness from this situation. I had my anxiety from like being a uni student, having to like start figuring out my thesis for my bachelor's and shit like that. I had hella assignments from my minor, because like someone that I was doing my assignments with, he just wasn't putting his weight. So I was doing assignments meant for two on my ones. But at the same time, I had happiness. I had a certain amount of joy in me that was just there, because I didn't have to go to classes, because it was like during Corona period. So I didn't have to go to classes, and because of that, I had quite some time to like go gym, play basketball, and just do me for a hot second. And also I was painting, which is like I was expressing myself creatively. And so it's like this piece, as chaotic and as quote unquote ugly as it may be in the eyes of capitalism, this piece is one of my favorite, and is one of the most perfect ones that I have made. Because I am so happy with how it turned out, that I don't think anyone can inherently tell me, or like anyone can tell me anything about this piece being bad, or it cannot be improved upon, because it is just what it is. Let me see. I'm actually gonna like bring it. Okay, so I'm back. So this is the piece. That's gonna be very interesting to edit. But like, yeah, so this is the piece. And it's like, it was supposed to be a portrait of a black woman. Because I was trying to, well, now that I think about it, it was probably a portrait of my ex. Because, yeah, I was trying to put that on canvas. I was trying to put like my emotions of how I felt. Because I was watching Dronish actually. I was watching Dronish, and if you've seen Dronish, there's like this point in time where Luca and Zoe were like going through their thing, whatever. I think it was like early on in the series, because I was rewatching it, really, not even just watching, rewatching it. So like Zoe essentially, she was seeing Aaron and she was seeing Luca ish at the same time, kinda. It was weird. It was like a whole situation. So like yeah, she wanted to go to like a dance or like or whatever with Luca, but Luca just wasn't on that time. Like he was just like, nah, I don't fuck with like shit like that and whatever. So she goes to the dance by herself and with her girlfriends. And Aaron pulls up to the dance. He wasn't going there for the dance itself, but he just pulled up to. He texts her, "Hey, come outside," and whatever. And so they get to talking and whatnot. Because Aaron has a crush on her. Yeah, he likes her, and she also likes him a little bit. And so after they had like a whole thing, whatever they, I don't remember what they spoke about. After they spoke about what they spoke about, Aaron gave her a kiss, and after that he left. I feel like Aaron did see Luca, because we could see Luca from Aaron's POV. So like I feel like Aaron saw him, that's why he kissed her. But like that's enough. That's not for today. And then the thing is, Luca did come to the dance for her, which is so fucking cute. I fucking love Luca, man. So Luca did show up for the dance for her. He got dressed and everything, and then he saw her and homeboy kiss and whatnot. He was hurt. He was pained, as he should be. And so he was like, you know what, charge it. It's okay. Go be with Aaron, whatever. And so Luca was making paintings, or he was making art pieces to express how he felt about Zoe. And I feel like that kind of like inspired me a little bit to be like, okay, I feel pain with regards to this certain person, so might as well also put that on canvas. Yeah, this is from 2 years ago. Oh, now that I look at the month, actually. Oh, shit. Yeah, this was after we broke up. This was after we broke up. So like I said, yeah, this was after we broke up. I had to make peace with the fact that homegirl did kind of cheat on me and shit like that. And some things were said while we were breaking up that really hurt my emotions and really hurt my feelings and whatnot and all of that. So like yeah, there's supposed to be a portrait of a black woman. Not necessarily her, but just a black woman. And at some point I realized, wait, why am I low-key doing this? And so I slapped on the blue and I just started like just drawing random ass lines. And I love this. Like, I love this. Like, there's so much hidden details everywhere. Like, things that people might not understand. But when I look at it, I'm like, oh shit, that is something relevant. And yeah, so this is my favorite art piece. And like I said, I don't think art can ever be bad. I don't think art can ever be ugly. I feel like people can view certain art pieces as ugly, but that's only because they are not the ones who made said piece. You cannot find beauty in something that you are not involved in, because the beauty of said thing has nothing to do with you. And I feel like people who actually have the audacity to begin with to label art as bad have a certain level of like self-importance, because who are you to say that an art piece is good or art piece is bad? No one has an opinion over the beauty of a certain piece outside of the person who made said piece, because you have no place in the creation of this. So you have no place to label this. You have no place to say anything about this. You can consume it, you can perceive it, but don't be egotistical enough to think that your opinion on said piece is in any way, shape, or form relevant, because it is not. And like I said, I feel like we view a lot of these things because of capitalism, because art as an industry has gotten to a point where it's commodified. It's like it's monetized. That's the word. And because of that, we've gotten to a point where we, as a way to find proximity to the wealthy to the wealthy and the rich, as a way to find proximity to them, we try to criticize art like them. And a lot of people then start being so fake about, because like you have no opinion. Your opinion is simply a regurgitation of what you've heard people who you consider better than you to have said about pieces like this, or this piece in particular, and you're just like pushing that out yourself. But instead, you're supposed to consume art and then ask questions of the artist. And if the artist doesn't like provide answers, or if they say they do not want to find answers, then it's up to you to reflect and to look at this art piece and wonder, what is the message that's being conveyed here? What could be the message that said artist is trying to send through? But in no way, shape, or form should you be like, this is good or this is bad art, because it's like you have no authority in this space because it's not a space that you made. But like, yeah, that's just a short commentary or like episode. Oh yeah, I also said that art is inherently political, but like that's for another thing. But actually, I can just to summarize, art is inherently political because, be it good or bad, art is inherently it's not inherently a part of capitalism, but like because we've thrusted capitalism onto art, art is always present in the space of capitalism, and because of that, regardless of how the art or like what the purpose of the art is, the art is engaging in capitalism. So if your art is to be sold, the value of the art, be it high or low, regardless of how good or bad it is. So for instance, if you make quote unquote bad art, like art is considered bad by the public, but then you slap on a label of like 10 billion on said art piece, this art piece is making a commentary on like, you think it's bad, but it's extremely valuable, and that's gonna have people questioning things and asking questions and thinking that what is happening here? And if you make a good piece and you give it out for free, it's like, this is such a great piece, why don't you capitalize on it? And then the commentary is that art isn't necessarily to be sold, and this piece is just a piece that is meant to convey an emotion, and this emotion isn't a commodity to be bought or sold. So it's like, I feel like art is inherently political because art is inherently asking questions of capitalism and of society. But yeah, that's been the episode, and I think this is a really short one actually, which is good because editing time. uh, so yeah, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the episode. This episode is mostly for me, I think. I just wanted to like talk about something that, yeah, I kind of like find joy in, and just like share a piece of myself to some extent, because I'm trying to like get comfortable with being vulnerable on the podcast, because I have an episode that I'm like in the process of editing. It's like 3 hours long, or 3.5 actually. And like I did share a lot of personal things on this episode, and like I've been very nervous and very anxious about releasing this episode, because it's a very good episode, but I'm very anxious about the fact that I am vulnerable on this episode. So I'm like slowly trying to like get comfortable with like being vulnerable. And so whenever it is that I do finish editing this episode, I can like post it and like be fine with it. Actually, I have 2 episodes where I'm vulnerable. I actually recorded another episode this morning where I was actually extremely vulnerable, because I was speaking about like a lot of my exes and like the fact that I've been bumping into them, like having to confront that, that a lot of them exist they exist in like outside of like my immediate circle. And like I was gonna post that this week, but then after the episode, I felt very anxious because like I was very vulnerable, and so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make another episode and do this instead. So I hope you guys kind of enjoy it. I don't know if there's like a takeaway from this episode, unlike all of my other episodes. I don't think there really is. I don't know if there is, but if there is, then I'm happy there is. But even if there isn't, I'm also fine with that. I don't think I have to like be intellectually sound in every episode. Some episodes I just want to like be stupid to some extent, to like just be silly and goofy. Yeah, because like that's who I am. Like I'm not always, my brain isn't always functional. Like sometimes I just exist, you know, just as a person. And I also just want to share that as well. But like with that being said, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast as well, and interact with the episode. You can leave a like, leave a comment, send me a DM or something. Just do anything, and share with your friends if you think your friends would like this, or if you think you want people to see this. And also follow the socials at Back OT Class Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and follow me personally at Demi_the creator on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye. Bye.